Good afternoon, friends. Welcome back to our video that we're doing this afternoon on Celtic salt and Himalayan salt. And I will do a talk this afternoon on Celtic salt, and Chris is going to do a talk on Himalayan salt. So hopefully at the end of the video you'll have good knowledge, good understanding in relation to the importance of salt, and which we will try to incorporate the mineral content, the importance of salt, and the importance of drinking lots of water. Anybody that is just coming on now, I'd like to welcome you to our Purple Mountain Spiritual Centre's Facebook page.
Elizabeth's watching and Pearl's watching. So
hi Pearl, hi Elizabeth, hope you're all right, hope you're keeping safe and you're meditating and looking after yourselves. I hope you're going to find this talk interesting, because it's something that I'm extremely passionate about. We've been promoting the importance of salt, particularly Celtic salt and Himalayan salt, for many years now at the White Turtle Lodge at the Purple Mountain. We've got a little a healing clinic here where we offer a variety of healing treatments, and our aim is to make people aware of the health and well-being and to promote self-healing. Self-healing isn't just about meditating, it's about recognising the physical body and its weaknesses and its strength as an individual. It's about you taking responsibility to your health and well-being, not relying on doctors and healthcare professions to make amendments to your health and well-being. Looking after the body can be extremely simple. Things like getting enough exercise, having enough minerals and vitamins in your body, your diet that you eat, the food that you eat, the water you drink, the way that you move, the way you stand and sleep and rest are all important tools that we can use for health and well-being.
So we've got a few more people, and Tom.
Hi Tom.
Tom's on here, and Anthony.
Hi Anthony.
Yeah, and my mum's watching as well.
Hi Irene, hope you're alright, hope your back's getting better. Send you much love from the Purple Mountain, hope you're alright. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're now going to start our talk on Celtic salt. And just a little bit about Celtic salt, hence the word Celt or Celtic. Celt comes from the northern part of France. That's where this salt is refined and harvested. They're called salt farmers. So those that work in the industry will farm salt, and they're basically, it comes from seawater. So seawater is trapped in estuaries. So it's trapped in regions called the estuaries, and it then evaporates to what we call a brine. And what happens then, salt will be pushed through what we call a clay-lined beds, and you probably can see this on YouTube or on YouTube's probably the best place to have a look how not just Celtic salt's farmed, but also how I know the Himalayan salt is farmed a little bit different to the Celtic salt. So more of the sea salts are farmed in this way. So what they want, they push the beds of salt or the water into a brine. Salt for many then is placed on clay beds, and by the end it's then evaporated. The water is then evaporated, which is then what we call crystallizing, which is hence what's left is the salt crystals, and it is then farmed by salt farmers. And then that's how it's cultivated. And often in Celtic salt is very wet, very, very wet. When you buy it, you can buy them in big bags, coarse, or you can buy them very fine or in smaller packets. So it's really how much salt. And I'll tell you, because there's a great misconception in the world today, particularly by the healthcare profession, and it is breaking free from this norm, I believe, because a lot of doctors will say you're eating too much salt, stay away from salt, and actually that's wrong. Your body needs salt. It needs the right salt. And I'll talk a little bit about blood pressure, because there's so many people in the world now that suffer from blood pressure, heart problems or kidney problems, and it could all be related to the mineral content or the lack of minerals your body doesn't have. And salt is a fantastic way to incorporate your daily amounts of minerals that you need. I'm a firm believer that vitamins are often pushed in the holistic side as well as the healthcare side. I find that minerals are often overlooked, and I find that minerals are probably more important than vitamins. So and it's this knowledge that we try to push and inspire other people to take a rein and really make a change in the way they eat. So how can you use Celtic salt? Celtic salt can be used in your cooking, and it can also be used, you can bath in Celtic salt. It helps with people with skin conditions, psoriasis or eczema or irritations, and you can bath, you can exfoliate with Celtic salt. It can be quite coarse, and it's fantastic for your skin, fantastic for your body. I use it for cooking, so I use all my salts for cooking, and I have been doing for a lot of years. Another great way of consuming salt, because of its high concentration of magnesium, in which I'll talk about shortly. I don't want to go too scientific, but sometimes people need to understand how it works on a cellular level, the Celtic salt, and why some of those minerals are important, which I'll explain to you in a minute. And an effective way of using Celtic salt when your energies drop is just putting a few grains, a few core pieces on top of your tongue, leave it on your tongue just for a minute or so, and then have a glass of water. And the magnesium will then fuel the cells in your body bursting full of energy, which will give you a bit of a burst of energy. When normally people pick up a chocolate bar or pick up a cheese sandwich or sandwich quickly for a bit of energy, most likely what you need is particular minerals, and just adding a bit of Celtic salt on top of your tongue with a glass of water. And I'm speaking with experience here. Our therapists have experienced this themselves with great results, fantastic results in relation to putting a bit of Celtic salt on your tongue. You go to a doctor, people with high blood pressure or cholesterol levels, the first thing they will say, stay away from salt, and that is wrong, and I'll explain to you why that's wrong. Celtic salt, the topics and what we teach here is massive, so I'm trying to incorporate as much knowledge in the next 30 minutes as possible, but I don't want to rush into that. So if you do have any more questions or queries, please message us now, and Chris will be able to ask me, and I'll be able to hopefully answer some of those questions. If not, I can send you a PDF file, or I can send you through something through email that will give you a little bit more in-depth knowledge of what we've learned and what we promote here at the White Turtle Lodge. So we'll begin firstly. Now, before we actually talk about Celtic salt, the most important part of understanding Celtic salt is the content of minerals and the elements of life. One element of life is, what I mean by that is elements that we need to stay alive, why we are alive. And one is through oxygen. We need oxygen, we breathe oxygen, it gets into our cells, it keeps us alive, and we breathe in this oxygen, this clean, beautiful air every day just to keep us alive. The other element is water, H2O. And 75, 78 to 80% of our physical bodies are made of water. So we normally incorporate this topic actually with Celtic salt with the importance of water. So I will try to incorporate both into this topic today because they really work side by side. So you need, this is what I keep promoting here, we do a hydrotherapy project, a hydrotherapy course, which encourages people to drink more water. There's not enough people that drink enough water. You should be drinking 1 to 2 to 3 litres of water a day. Now, lots of people will say, a lot of patients that we see here at the White Turtle Lodge will say, well, I can't drink that much water, or I keep going to the toilet, it's keep flushing down. And that's because something's bypassing your cells. Now, in your physical body, there are millions and millions, billions of cells, and each cell contains a membrane. Just imagine a circular membrane here, and each cell must contain the water molecule. And if something's bypassing the cell, it means there's some kind of mineral that is missing in your physical body, which means why you keep going to the loo. Why? Is something's not absorbing the water, it's just going straight through. So that's telling me already that you're missing some important minerals. It could be potassium, it could be calcium, it could be magnesium, and we'll talk about those trace minerals shortly. The other element of life is sodium, and the other one is potassium, and they are the four most important elements for life. Oxygen, water, H2O, sodium and potassium. They are important elements for life, and that's important, and we'll tie everything in later, and I will try to tell you a story. Now, I want to mention as well that Celtic salt, it contains up to 85 different minerals. Now, normal salt, what I call table salt, which will contain a lot of your man-made products, which is cheap salt, contains only 2 minerals, which is sodium chloride. Now, chloride is an essential mineral, contains within Celtic salt and also contains within Himalayan salt and rock salt and so forth. But sodium and chloride on its own, actually, if you injected your body directly with sodium chloride, which is what table salt is, you can actually kill yourself. You can actually kill the physical body. And what you're doing with normal table salt, you're slowly damaging the physical body. And you often see, probably with our parents and our grandparents, they used to put so much salt on, they keep putting salt on their food, on the chips, on the food, and they keep putting more salt on, because what sodium chloride does to the tongue, it kills your taste buds. It destroys your taste buds. So of course they're not going to taste what the food tastes like. Now, when you start moving away from normal table salt and consume Celtic salt, it activates the taste buds, and your food will taste so much nicer and fresher. You can add into your salads, into your soups. I cook with Celtic salt with every aspect, and I have been doing for the past 5 to 6 years, if that makes sense. If you've got any questions so far, don't hesitate to ask. So sodium chloride from normal table salt. So table salt, as it's cultivated, it's then bleached, and all the other minerals are washed away, and what you're left with is sodium chloride. But remember, sodium is important because it's an element of life. Is an important element of life. So it's a bit hypocritical, isn't it? But sodium, like any other mineral, has to work with other minerals to work. It must work with magnesium. It must work with potassium, other important minerals. So this is why the best way to take a healthy amount of minerals in your body is through salt, through Celtic salt or Himalayan salt. Now, Himalayan salt doesn't contain as much as magnesium as it does with Celtic salt, and that's why we'll promote Himalayan salt. Is fantastic, but it's not as good as Celtic salt because of the high concentration of magnesium. So we're telling a story here. Bleached salt or table salt and so much of your man-made processed foods contain high amounts, sugars, chocolate bars, crisps, a lot of it will contain bleached salt, sodium chloride. We know that sodium chloride is good for the body, but not on its own, because it poisons the cell. It poisons the heart and the arteries. It closes the arteries down, which causes tremendous amount of health problems, and which we'll talk about later on. One particular, blood pressure, And we'll talk about in a minute on the cellular level, the cells, what actually causes the blood pressure, and which we'll discuss in a moment. So I have a bit of a recap. We've just discussed the importance of Celtic salt. Bleach salt contains only 2 minerals, sodium chloride. So what we need is an abundance of different minerals that will help bring in the water molecule into the cells. Because remember, we're 80% made of water. So when we're dehydrated, our cells need minerals to bring in the water. Just imagine each mineral has a different job, a different responsibility to our overall health and well-being. We need an abundance of not just sodium chloride, we need potassium, we need magnesium, we need chloride. We need these minerals for the health of the physical body. And without them, and if we keep eating table salt that only contains sodium chloride, it will continue poisoning the physical body. So in a way, the doctor is right, stay away from your salt, but the doctor should be saying you should be having the right salts. You should be having Himalayan salt, Celtic salt. These are the salts that you should be having because it contains other minerals, 85 different minerals, but we're just going to be talking about sodium chloride, magnesium and potassium, because they are the most important minerals that are related to the bringing in the water molecule into your cells or on the cellular level. I like to mention as well now, when you do buy Celtic salt, it is very wet. Now, in my recommendation and my experience, just keep it the packet. Once you've opened it, put it in a tub, protect it. But when it gets quite wet, you can dry it out on a very low heat in the oven for 30 minutes to 40 minutes on low heat. Dry it out. You want the salt to be quite dry, and that's why the magnesium. And I'll tell you about the importance of magnesium in a minute because of its high concentration of magnesium in Celtic salt and why magnesium is important. Now, magnesium has many different functions, and I'm not going to talk to you, I'm not going to bore you on the science stuff, but I just need to mention some of the most important role that magnesium has. And now there are 3 types of magnesium that is important and contains within Celtic salt. One of them is magnesium bromide, magnesium chloride and magnesium sulfate, and they all contain within Celtic salt. And this is why the Celtic salt is so wet, because it's what we call a water hungry molecule. It's great at absorbing water, so you need that mineral to push in that water into your cells. That's why you drink plenty of water and Celtic salt. Now, what we are saying is consuming Celtic salt alone won't help your body. You need to exercise. You need to eat plenty of vegetables, lots of fruit. Fruit and vegetables contain the highest amounts of potassium. So eat lots of vegetables, eat lots of fruit, lots of salads. That will bring in the potassium. So don't expect just to eat Celtic salt in your diet and you don't exercise and you still eat saturated food. Don't expect to have the impact, the benefit Celtic salt brings. So you've got to incorporate. It's only a tool, another way, effective way of your health and well-being. And if your body is healthy and you look after your body, then the body will look after you. And it will look after your immune system, it will look after your nervous system, your muscular system, your respiratory system, which is fundamental. So let's have a look at magnesium. The magnesium is a water-hungry molecule, and it plays a critical role in the transport. So just imagine the magnesium being a bus. And the magnesium is a bus, you've got the potassium as the car, and sodium as the bicycle. And they've all got different roles. They will transport different minerals to different parts. Now, it plays an active role in the transport of what we call calcium and potassium ions across cell membranes. Now, membranes is only the coat So imagine me naked, I don't want you to imagine that, and I'm wearing a coat. And that's what we call a membrane, something that covers me up. And that's the same with the cell. It's like a form of protection, and nothing can penetrate that membrane, unless it's damaged, of course. So so a bit of a recap: magnesium transports calcium and potassium ions across cell membranes. And overall, this means it gives great for the heart, great for nerve impulses, muscle contraction. So it plays a very important role. So good for the heart. It allows the heart to pump the oxygen round. So a healthy heart. Magnesium, very nerve impulse condition. So the health of all our nerves, muscle contraction. That is very, very important. But ultimately, for the cells, the magnesium to push the water into the cell membrane, magnesium is needed. Now, if you don't have enough magnesium, you're going to be dehydrated. The cells are going to break up. They're going to be damaged, if that makes sense. So I hope I've not gone too deeply here for you. Do you have any questions yet, Chris?
No questions. Anybody's got a question, please comment.
Brilliant. So we'll just continue now then. Okay, brilliant. So we're now going to discuss a little bit deeper to do with the cell itself. So each cell is covered by a membrane, a coat. So within the body there are billions of cells, all needing the water. In order for that water molecule to enter into the cell, it needs potassium, it needs sodium, it needs magnesium. They all need working together to push the water molecule into the membrane, into what we call the cell nucleus. Okay, so you have sodium and potassium pumps, the little pumps. So they're like doors. So you have two doors. You've got the sodium pump, and you've got the sodium pump and the potassium pump. And outside you've got the membrane, and inside it's the cell. So you've got little pumps. And you've got the bicycle arriving, the potassium mineral. You've got the sodium mineral arriving, saying, can I come in? And you need both minerals to push in the water molecule inside. So you've got sodium and potassium pumps monitoring the levels of sodium and potassium going into the cells, because sometimes if there's too much sodium, too much potassium, it will damage the cell. So too much sodium, and remember, if people are having too much table salt, too many takeaways and saturated fats that contains the bad table salts, what will happen then? Enough potassium and not enough potassium, sodium rises, potassium drops because of the osteodiffusion. Too much sodium starts to merge into the centre of the cell. So basically too much sodium is coming into the cell, and what happens then? The cell swells, it gets fat, it gets big, and hence blood pressure. Too much sodium is allowed to be in the cell, and it swells, high blood pressure. So simple. So again, what's important is potassium, sodium and magnesium, helping the cell membrane, pushing the water in. Too much sodium in, the cell rises, high blood pressure. But the doctor will say, don't take salt. But you need salt. What you need is the right salt. You need the right amount of salt. So let's have a look, have a bit of a recap. So I'm going quite deep there, and I don't mean to. My aim is to try to give you a little bit of a scientific understanding in relation of the importance of Celtic salt. So anyone who's actually suffering from blood pressure, it could be, I'm not saying it is, it could be because of too much sodium, or too little potassium, or too much potassium, not enough sodium. So remember, we're not saying sodium's bad for you, it is good for you. But too much of it, and not enough magnesium, not enough potassium, would damage the cell, and it will swell, and it will cause major health problems. I'd like to mention as well that your blood, what we call seawater, the ionic solution, seawater is actually the same proportion in minerals found in blood. So your blood is ultimately like seawater, so hence our connection to the sea. So when doctors and nutritionists, not all, will say stay away from salt, well, you need these minerals for your health and well-being. Your blood is made of the ionic solution, made like seawater, contains all the ionic solution. So that's important. So how does the cell operate is very, very important. So how it functions, how and what's its function. So if we are deficient, of minerals such as sodium and chloride and potassium and all the minerals such as magnesium, if we're deficient of it, it causes a crisis. So is the body saying, what's happening? Where is all these minerals going? I need these minerals. I need potassium. I need magnesium. And it goes into crisis. So if we cannot have enough nutrients, enough minerals into our cells in order for our cells to function, so the body will roll its sleeve up and what the cell does, what the body then does, it forces it in, which then causes high blood pressure. So the body's trying to compensate, and it will say, right, I'm going to roll my sleeve up, I'm going to force this into my cell, and it rises, the cells expand from high blood pressure again. So it's the imbalance of minerals, and that's where Celtic salt, as it contains all these minerals, is so good for the physical body. Of course, you have to incorporate things like exercise, eating lots of vegetables, fruits, drinking lots of water. They are essential to your optimum health. So don't just expect just to eat Celtic salt and make no modifications to your health and well-being, because that will have the opposite effect. Okay, so really what you want, pressure builds up. So if the body can't sustain what's happening to the cells, the pressure would be building up, and you get high blood pressure, worse blood pressure, and it will go high, and it will cause other health problems. So dehydration, no salt, no greens, no sun, no exercise, chronic stress, dehydration, they could all be contributors to high blood pressure. So it might not just be the sodium, it could be other factors as well. So this is why we say exercise, having enough sun, because vitamin D also plays a critical part in the health of your cells, and that's important as well. So what you need to understand, it's about the blood work here. It's about the blood. It's about keeping the blood and the cells healthy and protected. And we've always been discussing this about your health and well-being. It's about keeping your cells protected, healthy, and drink lots of water. But ultimately, you want to look at things like what we call blood thinners, which is about so we don't want the arteries and the veins to be blocked. We want to keep them flowing. We want to keep them flowing nice and gently through the bloodstream. So you want to have lots of water, the right minerals. You should be incorporate things like garlic, ginger, cayenne pepper into your diet. They are excellent to keep your blood nice and thin. Okay, but just make sure you speak to your nutritionist or to your doctors before you start incorporating any of these diets. Ginger and turmeric in the Ayurveda medicine is a universal herb. Ginger and turmeric is something that I incorporate in my diet in capsule form, in organic capsule forms every day. I take 3 or 4 of them every day for my optimum health, and I do swear by them. Okay, so ultimately what I'm trying to say is, I don't know if you understand the term of electrolytes. Now electrolytes, the electrolytes in your body loves things like sodium and magnesium, calcium, potassium, which are essential elements to good health, such as regulating your heartbeat. So overall, I hope that I've given you a little bit of food for thought. I don't want to go a little bit too deep before I pass on to Chris and his guides and his inspirers and his knowledge, and he'll tell you a little bit more about the Himalayan salt. But ultimately, I want to say to you is drink lots of water, change the salts that you have, buy Celtic salt. You can buy this on Amazon. We sell them at our gift shop and here at the clinic as well. And they're ranging from, I think, £5 for a kilogram here. And really that'll last you, if you do lots of cooking, it'll last you about a month. You've got the fine salt. And really, you'll find your whole taste buds begin to change. You begin to incorporate in the important minerals. So potassium, sodium, chloride, calcium, they are important minerals for your overall optimum health. And I was talking particularly about your cells, the membrane, the cells, the nucleus, which are essential in all the minerals that you consume. So just try to stay away from table salt. Stay away from table salt because it only contains bleach salt and it kills the body. It kills your cells, it kills your arteries, it causes diabetes, it can cause diabetes, blood pressure, and so ultimately you need those minerals. So I can't promote it enough. Get yourself some Celtic salt. And do we have any questions?
One of the questions a couple of people are asking is, what's the average cost if you were buying Celtic salt?
The average cost, well, for me, for me, a bag like this, and I do a lot of cooking, I cook every day at home, that bag will last me about a month and a half. Now, I do suffer from eczema, which means I will go through an extra bag in about a week, because I will bath with it 2 or 3 times a week, because I don't use any forms of shampoo, anything like that, because it irritates my skin. I try to use natural aromatherapy oils and Celtic salt, and I also use Himalayan salt and magnesium salts, because for me they are better. They're great moisturisers. Because remember, Celtic salt is a water-hungry molecule. It moisturisers the skin. I use an extra exfoliate my skin with Celtic salt. So it really depends on what you're using the Celtic salt for. Now, in price worth, a bag like this, £5-6. We sell them at our gift shop and here at the Purple Mountain. You can buy them on eBay or Amazon. So you're looking at what, £6 a month for your health and well-being. And ultimately, if you do lots of cooking, baking and stuff like that, use Celtic salt as one of the best salts. For me, the better salts. In terms of mineral content, it's not far off the same as Himalayan salt. The reason we promote Himalayan Celtic salt in particular is because of a high concentration of magnesium. And the magnesium is a central element, it's an extra element that is great for the body. So ultimately, you're looking at about £6 a month. You can spend, I think you can get even bigger bags than that. It just depends what you're cooking for, what you're using the salts for. So I hope I've answered that question. Do we have any more questions?
Nope.
Brilliant. So I'm now going to hand over to our good brother Chris that will do a fantastic talk. I hope he's not going to promote a better link to my salt that I've just promoted. And all over to you now, Chris. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Hope you've enjoyed the talk so far today. So I've been asked to do a talk on Himalayan salt we're going to go to now, which is different in its own ways but on a similar lines. Himalayan salt is naturally pink, okay, and we've got a few different examples of it. You can buy it in the loose form like we see here with the Celtic salt. You can also get it in little candlelights here, that's a pure version. Also in chunks, and also you've got your lamps as well, which we'll be talking about. The Himalayan salt, as Stephen's covered quite a bit of information there, that's it's all good stuff to know, is the Himalayan salt contains 80 minerals and compounds, including potassium, iron, calcium, all these things that help the body naturally detox and help it clear any bacteria that we don't need. So it's an excellent one. First of all, you can cook with it. I would choose personally the Celtic salt first, but if you've been using Himalayan salt, don't worry, that is far, far better than a table salt. I would call it it's like a close second in terms of cooking and using it for cooking. But it basically contains, as was said, less sodium than table salt. So anything's a better version than table salt, as long as we stay away from the table salt. It is accessible in a lot of places now. Himalayan salts kind of more commercially come on in the last year or so. You can go to anywhere and pretty much find the Himalayan salt in the, what do they call them?
The grinders.
Grinder, that's the word. And the grinders, and you can buy them already. Celtic salt you have to more buy online and such, but hopefully in the future, it's not just our shop, but many shops will be selling it, as they should do. So, just moving on, when we're moving away from certain salts, and it's what we're wanting to do is let our bodies be able to work better. That's the important thing, and not put anything in that we don't want in there that's going to make it hard for the body to work. So it's very important to mention that Himalayan salt is very high in iodine as well, very high in iodine, which helps to absorb nutrients, helps the body absorb those nutrients, which is very important. That's a little bit what Stephen talked about before, which is quite common when people drink a lot of water and they say, oh, I can't drink water, I go to the toilet about 20 times. And that's very simple, it's because your body's not absorbing the nutrients. So there's something to look at, and salt's a very good start. Okay, so it helps to balance the body. Helps to balance the body in your immunity and your processing and digesting your food. There's a lot of people that I certainly meet every day who have a lot of digestive problems, and many years ago I remember we were talking with a gentleman that came on the market, and he had a medical background, and he said if you can look after your digestive system in life, you will have a very healthy life, because it's the start of so many uncomfortable and unpleasant problems as we grow older. So looking after that digestive system is so important, and salt is a very good start. So with the Himalayan salt, Stephen's already talked with a lot with the consumption and cooking side, and it can be used, Himalayan salt, totally as well for that, but I would choose the Celtic salt for a first option. So we're going to move on to the other uses of Himalayan salt that might be a little bit better known as bath salts as well. That's one that's become very, very popular, and Himalayan salt as bath salts is an excellent one, very good for soothing cuts, blisters, relieving muscular pain. It's very relaxing as well. It aids your circulation, very good for your circulation. So placing those salts within your bath, as Stephen mentioned a little bit when he was talking about his own experiences, much better than using a lot of the soaps and stuff that we use to put in our baths. It's an excellent one, Himalayan salt, very, very soothing. And I do know a lot of places now actually use it in saunas. They'll have a Himalayan salt wall in the sauna. It's that energy coming through. So it's out there. People are using this stuff. A little bit of history that we found, okay, was in the 1800s there, when they were doing some mining, when some of the mining was going on in Poland it was, and they were finding where the mining was revolving around the Himalayan salt, that those who were mining weren't suffering from the same respiratory, I have trouble saying that word, problems, or chest problems, and that was around 1843. And they weren't suffering the same problems as those who were mining in other areas. So already that link was there. And what I want to talk about as concerns with the Himalayan salt, with the lamps. Now lamps have become very, very popular in the last couple of years. But many people ask, what are the benefits? And one of the biggest scientific facts of it are, in terms of where we want to talk about We want to talk about negative ions, okay? That's the important part of this, okay? Now, negative ions can be found in many different areas, naturally created in parks, waterfalls, beaches, springs, mountains. Now, what do all these places have in common? Is where we go to relax, where we go to relax our minds, where we go to find a good energy, a peaceful energy, okay? So those negative ions actually help reduce stress. They can clear spurs and mold, bacteria as well, okay? So what the lamp does, how it actually works is, anybody who's had a Himalayan salt lamp, it absorbs moisture and water. So what it's doing is it absorbs them positive ions, okay, and it mixes that compound and releases more negative ions, okay. That's very, very important to mention. So that has been changed. The water molecules have been changed there, and to emit more negative ions. And what that can help is it can boost the immune system, help with sleep problems. It can help with your air quality if you have asthma or any of those sorts of breathing problems. Very good one for the bedroom. Okay, so that's an interesting one to look at, that negative ions, which I didn't know too much about for too long ago, but I did a bit of looking into it myself because I wanted to know. We sell these in our stall, and I wanted to exactly know what we're talking about, and I feel that's very, very important. So, in creating that sort of negative ion, very good, and that's that natural energy coming out within your bedroom and your home. They can boost your mood, as I said, your sleep, clear negative energy, very, very good for that. So if you do get a Himalayan salt lamp, they're very good for the bedroom. Any good for anywhere. For me, I'd have one in every room in my house, which I pretty much do. In terms of costs for these, you're looking at anything from £10 to you can spend a lot of money. They can come like big rocks if you're able to carry them around and take them in. But they're excellent, and as I said, they're giving you that natural energy, that natural cleaning of energy in those ions, and removing anything within that air that isn't needing to be there. So if you do buy one, have it on all the time. Have it on for a good amount of time in the bedroom. Don't just put it on at night. Perhaps have it on, say, if you go to bed at 10 o'clock, put it on at 6. And let it really do its work. Okay, that's really important. Okay, so the other part of Himalayan salt, which we want to talk about, is also as a crystal. And we talked about crystals yesterday, and it's on its own as a protective crystal. It's very good for spiritual protection, so you can put it on your windowsill. You can carry that around with you. Just obviously, as we spoke about, we wouldn't clean it. Because many people I know have experienced trying to clean it, and obviously that will disappear in water. So the chunks can actually be used in your bath as well, if you wish to, but it's a very good protective crystal. So the Himalayan salt, not only has it got that physical aspect which helps purify the air, helps assisting with sleep problems, insomnia, helps with your mood, helps with the lungs, with asthma conditions, very much by emitting them negative ions. That's really, really important. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that little talk. I will add a little bit with the rocks like I've shown here, the Himalayan salt. They would be about £1 to £2. These candle holders, which is just as effective because you get that heat, so they're doing the same work, and they would be possibly around £5-6 each. Okay, so I think that's just about everything, unless we've got any questions, Stephen.
No, we've got no questions at the moment. A lot of people said Ruth's online watching. You want to say hi to Ruth? You've got Julie Flowers watching. So lots of love
hi,
to Julie.
Hope you're well. Hope everybody's keeping well. So we hope you've enjoyed that little talk today on Himalayan salt and Celtic salt, and both used in tandem, they're fantastic. As I've said, anybody, particularly with sleep problems, I know from we sell these on our stall, and we've started selling more in the past few years, and people do come back who are not necessarily involved in any spiritual work or such, and they've had positive effects of having a Himalayan salt lamp in the bedroom. Okay, they've slept better, they've had a deeper sleep.
So what are we doing tomorrow?
What have we got tomorrow? Tomorrow's Kaihana.
And there's some more breathing exercises.
So we're doing breathing exercises tomorrow, Kaihana.
Meditation.
And we're doing a guided meditation, so that'd be lovely. So tune in, and we'll advertise the time. We'll decide what time it is. It's Friday tomorrow, I believe. We're trying to keep up with everything. And just a little note to everyone, just keep yourselves positive and keep sending out those positive thoughts. I know there's a lot of people physically doing all they can, but just remember that your thoughts that you're sending out are very real. So wherever you're sending those prayers and thoughts around this world, just know they'll get to where they're going. That's very, very, a very real thing. So I hope everybody's well and keeping safe, and keep yourselves safe over the Easter weekend. Okay, and lots of love from myself and Stephen till we talk again tomorrow. Bye.